Have you ever looked at someone else's life and felt like you're running out of time? Maybe you saw someone your age buying a house, someone launching a business, someone getting married, someone traveling the world, someone achieving a dream you've been working toward for years. And for a brief moment, it felt as though life was moving forward for everyone except you. If you've ever felt that way, then today's message is for you. My name is Grandpa T. Pull up a chair, settle in, and allow me to share a thought that might lift a weight you've been carrying for far too long. Because the truth is, you're not behind. You're just comparing too much. And comparison has a way of convincing good people that they're losing a race they were never meant to run. Imagine you're planting a tree. Every day you water it. You protect it from storms. You care for it patiently. But instead of looking at your own tree, you spend every day staring at other people's trees. You notice how tall theirs is, how green the leaves are, how quickly it grew. And slowly something strange begins to happen. You stop appreciating your own progress, not because your tree isn't growing, but because you're measuring it against a completely different tree, a tree planted in different soil, under different weather, with different roots. This is exactly what comparison does. It steals satisfaction from your progress. It convinces you that growth only counts if it's faster than someone else's. And in today's world, comparison has become easier than ever. Every time you open social media, you're looking through thousands of carefully selected moments, not reality, just highlights, not the full story, just tiny parts of people's lives they chose to show. And when you compare your everyday life to someone else's highlight reel, you'll almost always feel like you're losing. One of the biggest mistakes people make is assuming they know someone's story. You see success. You assume they had an easy path. You see confidence. You assume they've never struggled. You see achievement. You assume they've always been ahead. But life doesn't work that way. What you're seeing is often the final chapter of a story whose beginning remains hidden. You don't know how many failures came before that success. You don't know how many sleepless nights they endured. You don't know how many sacrifices they made. You don't know how many times they wanted to quit. And perhaps most importantly, you don't know where they'll end up. Life is not a photograph. It's a movie. And judging someone's future based on a single scene is impossible. The person ahead today may struggle tomorrow. The person struggling today may thrive tomorrow. Stories take unexpected turns. That's why comparison is such a dangerous game. You're comparing your entire journey to a single snapshot of someone else's. Let me tell you something I've learned over the years. Two people can be standing in completely different places and still be exactly where they need to be. Imagine a mountain. One person is near the summit. Another is still walking through the valley below. From a distance, it appears obvious who is winning. But what if the person in the valley started climbing yesterday, and the person near the summit started 20 years ago? Suddenly, the comparison makes no sense. The valley isn't failure. It's part of the mountain. The climb isn't behind schedule. Yet so many people spend their lives standing in the valley, looking upward, believing they've already lost. Not because they want to stop climbing, but because they became obsessed with someone else's altitude instead of focusing on their own journey. Here's the cruel irony. The more attention you give to other people's lives, the less attention you have for your own. Your focus is like sunlight. where it shines, things grow. When all your sunlight is directed toward other people's achievements, your own goals are left in the shadows. Think about that. You say you want success. You say you want growth. You say you want fulfillment. But how much of your energy is being spent watching instead of building, observing instead of creating, comparing instead of improving? Every minute spent measuring yourself against others is a minute not spent becoming who you're capable of being. And over time, those minutes become months. Those months become years. And the comparison itself becomes the very thing holding you back. Before we continue, I want to ask you something. If this message is speaking to you, take a moment to support the channel. Subscribe for more conversations like this. Leave a like if you've ever caught yourself comparing your journey to someone else's. And in the comments, tell me, what is one area of your life where you've been comparing yourself too much? I read your comments, and often the wisdom shared there helps someone else who needs to hear it. Now let's continue, because the most important part of this message is still ahead. Many people live as though life is a giant race. But life isn't a race. It's a path. And paths are different. A fisherman does not need the same road as a mountain climber. A gardener does not need the same road as a sailor. A musician does not need the same road as an entrepreneur. Yet people spend their entire lives trying to keep pace with travelers who are heading somewhere completely different. How can you be behind someone whose destination isn't even your destination? The answer is simple: you can't. But comparison creates that illusion. It convinces you that every life should unfold according to the same timeline. Graduate by this age. Earn this amount by that age. Own this by a certain year. Reach this milestone before everyone else. And when your life doesn't match that script, you begin believing you're behind. But who wrote the script? Who decided the timetable? Who determined the deadline? Often, nobody. It's simply an expectation inherited from the crowd. Now think of this. An oak tree grows slowly, much slower than many smaller plants. For years, it appears unimpressive. While other plants shoot upward, the oak seems almost stagnant. But underground, something remarkable is happening. Its roots are expanding, deepening, strengthening, preparing. Then eventually it becomes one of the strongest trees in the forest. Many people are in their root-building season right now, but because growth is invisible, they assume nothing is happening. They compare themselves to people who are already displaying their branches and leaves, and they miss the fact that they are building something powerful beneath the surface. Not all progress can be seen, not all growth can be measured, and not all preparation looks impressive. Some of the most important chapters of your life may appear ordinary while they're happening, yet years later you'll realize those quiet seasons were laying the foundation for everything. One day you'll realize something important. The people you compare yourself to are not living your life. They're not carrying your responsibilities. They're not carrying your dreams. They're not carrying your struggles. They're not carrying your purpose. You are, which means the only progress that truly matters is movement toward the life that is meaningful to you. Not the life that impresses strangers, not the life that earns applause, and not the life that gathers the most attention online. Your life, your values, your goals, your purpose. When you become clear about what matters, comparison begins losing its power, because you stop asking, am I ahead of them? And start asking, am I becoming who I want to become? That question changes everything. Most people spend their lives looking through windows, watching everyone else, studying everyone else, measuring everyone else. But growth happens when you start looking in the mirror. Yesterday's version of you is the only person you need to compete with, not someone across the world, not someone on your social media feed, not someone who started with different opportunities. Just you. Can you become slightly wiser than you were yesterday, slightly stronger, slightly kinder, slightly more disciplined? If the answer is yes, then you're moving forward, and that's enough. So the next time you feel like you're falling behind, remember this: you don't know where other people started, you don't know what they sacrificed, you don't know what struggles they hide, and you certainly don't know how their story ends. All you truly know is your own path, and that path deserves your attention. The river never compares itself to the mountain. The moon never compares itself to the sun. The oak tree never compares itself to the rose. Each of them fulfills their purpose by becoming fully what they are meant to be. Do the same for yourself. Focus on your roots. Focus on your growth. Focus on your purpose. Because the moment you stop comparing your journey to everyone else's, you finally gain the freedom to walk your own. And when that happens, you'll discover something beautiful. You were never behind. You were simply looking in the wrong direction. This is Grandpa T, and I'll see you again in the next one.